Welcome to part 3 of our 5-part video series on how to fix your Down statistics. Now stop! If you haven't watched part 1 and 2, go back and watch those so that you can build on the groundwork that we're laying for you to become a master at fixing your Down statistics. Hey guys, I'm Dr. Corey Frogley, co-founder and CEO of BlueIQ, and a company that we built to give you the tools that you need to become a data master. And building the practice of your dreams is just around the corner when you learn the how. So we talked a little bit about the why in the first couple videos, and now we're really getting into the how to fix your Down statistics. And we're gonna connect this from a team member standpoint, but this also really relates to you. And you know, it's the great Tony Robbins that talks a lot about what we focus on is what we feel. So think about this. As an organization, if I walked into your practice, what's the feeling within your team right now? Is it chaos? Is it excitement? Is it frustration? We all have a state that our body is in, and we know that if we're stuck in a low state, it's really hard to perform at a high level. And what we focus on is typically what we see. So, you know, Tony does a really fun drill with you where he has you look around the room for a certain color, and you're looking around. And when you think about all those things, you can spot some of them, but you actually start to feel better, more successful. You start saying, well, if I'm looking for red, burgundy is kind of a shade of red, right? So you start recruiting those because we want to feel successful. I want you and your team to feel successful. So I'm going to show you, just because a team member is now reporting on a metric or a KPI that's struggling, how do we get them to not just get depressed? So this weird, almost kind of backwards way of fixing a Down statistic is this. You've got to understand how to actually analyze your data to empower your team member. Number one, like we talked about in the last video, why is this so important to the organization? And two, how do we actually diagnose the system that the KPI represents? And the way we do that, and BlueIQ built these tools to do this very easily for you, and that is by going into our detailed metric view, looking at the historical data for the last 90 days by week. We always group the data by week, and we look at the last 90 days. Now this creates what we call a performance trend. We may need to trim the data slightly on each side, but it gives us a trend, and this trend identifies 4 performance levels or states, right? The state of the responsible person driving the system. It's actually a reflection of the organization and the individual sitting responsible for it. So a very steep, sharp growth trend is what we call in the blue. That's why we've created this YouTube channel in the blue, because we're trying to help you guys exceed your expectations. The second performance trend is what we call winning. That's where we're gradually going up or steadily going up. That's a great place to be. Underperforming is when we're flat or slightly trending down, and losing is now when we're really going down. We've got to bring awareness to a team member of what performance state are they in, what should they be aware of. And if they don't have the diagnostic tools to even be aware of that, pulling a report from your patient management system, tracking this on a spreadsheet doesn't give you this awareness. So it's really important that we have the diagnostic tools in place to do that. And again, that's why we built BlueIQ for you. So in this performance state of losing, what happens to most people, it's kind of like when you learn to ride a bike or drive a motorcycle or even a car for that fact. Where you look is where you go. So when I was learning to ride a motorcycle, they taught us as we're going around a curve to look into the curve. Don't look straight ahead, because if you look straight ahead, the bike is going to go straight ahead. You're going to miss the curve. That's why when people are driving and they kind of lose control and there's a telephone pole, I mean, we're talking a telephone post that size and the car hits it square. Like, what are the chances of them even hitting that square? It's because they were fixated on it. They smacked into it because that's what they were looking at. So when you're in this state, the most common thing that happens is we get fixated on what are we doing wrong. We get focused on what are we messing up, what mistakes are we making, And we kind of have this self-talk that puts a team member in a really low state of being, a resonating state of low energy. And we don't want that. That's not what we're trying to create. And most team members don't understand this process and how important it is to get fixated on what do we need to do. We need organization. We need a game plan. What's the list of processes, right? Lead metrics that we're watching that we just need training on. And that team member typically just needs more training. And you as a practice owner, or if you're lucky enough to have an office lead, an office manager, needs to be spending time with this team member, working on their skill set, training. Now, I've been with team members that after even training them for weeks and weeks and weeks, we're not seeing that performance state change. It stays in the losing state. And this is where we really have to take a hard look at that team member and identify, do we have them in the right seat on the bus, right? Jim Collins, Good to Great. This is understanding that a team member may not be fit for the role that we actually have them in. We put them into a role that we now have exposed that it's not their superpower. And so we may need to shift them and move them and find the right personality, the right person with the right skill sets to drive this KPI, drive this system. And that is how we fix a losing performance state. We come up with the game plan, we train tenaciously, and if that doesn't work, we have to really question, do we have the right team member in place? Now, in the upcoming videos, I'm going to share with you how to fix and really master these other performance states. And if you love content like this, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the notifications bell so you don't miss a single great episode. And again, if you can't wait to implement some of these processes, you've already signed up for our growth challenge, you can also check out our Profit Accelerator system. This is an 8-week course, guys, that walks you through the step-by-step process of this. It actually gives you the forms, that shows you deep step-by-step training of how to implement these processes and procedures. So click the link below for more information on our Profit Accelerator system.